Welcome to On The Recyard, Women's Prison Podcast, where we are live on the Recyard. Hey, y'all. It is Wednesday night, and we are on the Recyard, Women's Prison Podcast. I'm Marci Marie.
I'm Toonche.
Why would you pick your drink up right before it's time to introduce yourself?
I was going to take a drink, and I was like, I don't think I'll make it.
You didn't make it. That was a good decision to retract.
And I want y'all to know that Marci has instructed me. Look, y'all can tell we're at my place recording. We're recording because Marci's got to get home because it was a long day. But anyway, so we set this up, and we had to put the camera up high. So Marci's like, make sure you look at the camera. And I don't. I look at the screen while we're talking, and it's really hard. I feel silly just looking up at the camera.
That's not the camera. That's our people. That's our community, our online community.
It just makes me feel unnatural.
You see them? They're in there. Hey, y'all. You don't see them.
I do see them in my mind's eye, but I feel like
you're looking at the screen again.
I'm looking at the screen.
You're watching yourself talk.
So it just feels like I'm talking to you, but I'm not looking at you. That's why it feels awkward. See, when I'm on the screen, I'm looking at you.
But here. I'm literally right here.
I don't know what to tell you.
Y'all, we are talking about strip searches today, and we're talking about strip searches. It's a hot topic today.
It was. It is.
We started talking about strip searches at 8 a.m.
8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, at the state capitol in front of 4 male legislators. 4.
Yeah.
Only 4. It was interesting.
It was deeply interesting. Before we have to do our update.
Hey, Toonche. What was your week like, Toonche?
I don't remember.
So, did you just prompt me to do the weekly update? And then you don't have. It has been a long day, y'all. It really has.
It has. And I got up at 6, and it's just constant today. I don't really remember what I did last week.
Wasn't I in Austin last week? I don't remember. Life is lifing.
Well, what'd you do this weekend?
Oh, you know what I did? I did the storybook project, and I was sick.
Oh, and I went to the board meeting.
Yes.
It's all coming back.
It is all coming back.
Well, I went to the board meeting for our prison agency, the Texas Board of Criminal Justice. Gave some good comments about mailroom policies and medical transport, which is still a nightmare. Remember, we were so excited things got better, and then they got worse again. So then we had a Second Chance Month event Saturday. Mm-hmm. Everybody was at your house.
Yeah. I had a pool party. Where were you?
We were here in Austin in our little office space at After Violence Project.
So we actually had representatives from Houston, from Dallas, Weatherford, where I'm at, Austin, San Antonio. We had lots of little groups kind of gather across the state of Texas talking about second chances.
And it got real emotional. I'm not going to lie. It got kind of emotional, and I thought it was really heartfelt and pretty cool. It was just an hour on us connecting on Zoom and then just kind of having really cool stuff where we were at. But
I had a lot of leftover food, Toonche.
Man, I could have used that.
You could have. Your Frigidaire is pretty empty.
Marci took a picture of my cabinet.
It looks like your prison lockbox 2 days before they call commissary, when you're down to your last noodle. Except in your case, it was a tuna packet and a can of tomato soup.
Oh, and some peanut butter. But
yes.
Golly, the cat's food.
Yeah, she's stocked up.
Yeah, she's stocked up. I don't let my baby go without food.
That's how moms do for their kids.
Yeah,
we had an event last night.
Yeah, it was a film screening.
In their hands.
In their hands.
Directed,
y'all go check it out.
Yeah, directed by Dan Protes. You can look at either one of our socials and click on the link, but it's on PBS, y'all. It's a great film about how politics drive parole board decisions.
It's wild. Yeah. Like to really see it played out like that, which, where was this, Illinois?
Mm-hmm.
They have like these board hearings where attorneys and the other side can come and talk. And now the incarcerated person again is not there, but in Texas they don't even have that.
No.
You're just a file. There is no in-person anything like that.
No, in Texas you are just a file, and I think it's just 3 voting board members per region, but Texas is so big, right? So Illinois had like 9 or no, more than that.
Yeah, they had like
9 or 10 or 11, maybe even 12, a whole U-shaped full of people, voters. It was really interesting.
But theirs also was appointed by the governor. So these are political appointments in a lot of ways. And usually, whatever that governor's interests are, typically. So it was like a lot of law enforcement. And then when their governor became more progressive, there was actually a formerly incarcerated person on the parole board. And so the more they saw votes starting going in favor of this gentleman who was trying to make parole, the police union petitioned to the legislators to pressure the governor to change the makeup of the board. And so then his support went down. But he found support in the courts.
Don't give the whole story away.
I'm sorry.
Don't give the whole story. Y'all go watch it. But I want to say this. Doesn't it make sense to have a formerly incarcerated person helping make the decisions on who should make parole and not? Because if anybody can see BS, it's us.
Yes.
We know when our people are full of it and when they're about real life.
Yeah, I think so. I think the tendency to think is that, well, first of all, we don't want anyone to be in these carceral settings because as they are dangerous and not helpful and harmful. But I think that we would be a better judge of people's character and because what it turned out to be was a resentencing and debating the case versus what had this gentleman done in 47 flat years since he was 18 years old.
Imagine thinking someone 47 years later is the same person that they were at 18.
And he had all these credentials and class.
Had started programs in the prison, had done like peer mentorship, like all of, You
remember that there was one parole board member that said, well, I don't know if that's real or he's just trying to put a good face on. And, they used to tell us if we didn't get cases, if we were well behaved, we were manipulating the system. So you're damned if you do or you're damned if you don't. It was just a real inside look to this is political. This is not public safety. And, looking at it, okay, you were sentenced to this amount. Okay, I understand that. But you also are afforded the privilege of being considered for early release. And it's like, well, if it's a privilege that I've earned, if I can't practice or receive the privilege that I've earned, then what is the point of it? So it's a fascinating film. Good discussion afterwards.
It was a great discussion. You were part of the main panel. It was like a community discussion, but it did start with a brief panel.
Yeah.
It was good. You can watch it on our socials or on the Lioness socials. It's posted there. Check it out. It's a good stuff. What else? That's it.
Let's talk about getting naked.
Yeah. And not in a fun way.
Right.
Spoiler alert. Strip searches in prison are not sexy.
They're not sexy. All the weirdos that leave comments on Marci's TikToks, all the people that may have looked at this video's graphic that you eventually make and think it's clickbait. Strip searches are not sexy good times for women incarcerated. We were at a hearing today for the Texas legislature, and it was about a bill that would limit strip searches for women and why these procedures are overused, how they're overused, how it keeps us from participating in things. Because if a woman's got to change her tampon 5 times to access an academia college class, a lot of women will not.
So some of y'all might not know that you do have to remove your tampon in a strip search. And let me just, this is rugged.
Do it.
I'm going to say it. Have you ever removed a dry tampon? And it feels like it's pulling the inside of your body out for any gentlemen that have never had to have that experience. It is not fun. It is painful, very uncomfortable. That's part of it. And then the opposite of it is if it's not dry or almost full, what does that mean? You are now bleeding all over yourself and the floor.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Yeah. And you're doing this. The big debate here is strip searching in groups and what that feels like. Like Marci said today in her testimony, is like, well, I mean, that is actually how you can get contraband moved better, because there's so much chaos going on in a group. But we just absolutely abhorred stripping in general. But in groups, yeah, I'm with my friends, but also we're all naked together, oftentimes being stripped with people we didn't know, right? Because it may not be Marci and Lori and Mandy would be one thing. But with groups of women we don't know from the rest of the unit or from another class or another unit. And, to have to stand in the middle of the room while everybody's getting dressed and pull your tampon out and change it literally in the middle. That happened to me at Lane Murray's back gate with everybody else was dressed. Me and Janet got there late and we had to strip literally in the middle of that little room with everybody sitting on the benches. And we both had to pull our tampons out and change them literally in front with drops of blood on the ground.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about. And where is the data to show that strip searching is effective in finding contraband, dangerous contraband? And the agency said, we don't have that data. So why are they doing it?
They're doing it for power and for control and to knock people down a notch and to say that they've done it. I mean, I don't know. Every contraband I've ever got through anything was through a group strip search. And what does that contraband look like in Texas women's prisons?
Oh, gosh, it's makeup, it's postage stamps, it's smuggling, like you said, little frogs, little mice from outside when people would work in the field. It's candy. It's burritos.
I saw some people smuggle a whole slew of small snakes from Field Squad.
That's why. How did they do it? In a sock?
Well, we were in a group.
So everybody just
everybody's just passing it around. We have work gloves, so oftentimes you don't want to give all the secrets away. If they keep these group searches up, I want my girls on the inside to still bring in a snake or two if they want. Frankly,
those little frogs.
It brings them joy.
Isn't that something? What is that? And I'm not saying that men don't also bring in pets and other stuff, but it was interesting to hear one of the questions from the committee members to say, hey, I've seen men's contraband and it's pretty fascinating, the stuff they come up with, but are we talking about the same type of contraband for women? And I think there is a difference. And does it justify this type of search? And again, do you have the data to show that? And we have such a plethora of technology now that why aren't we just doing that? I never saw anybody get caught with something being stripped that wasn't found through a pat search or a wand. Did you? Like something like, oh my God, they just found this thing when they stripped this girl. Especially in a group when you're all getting...
Well, I did have a note stuck to my nipple, a kite. That was found in a strip search. I'm embarrassed to say. I was sweaty and the paper stuck to my nipple and I was standing naked handing the law my clothes.
What did the note say? Was it escape plans?
My friend, her good friend, had just left to go home. So it was like, hey, I remember the girl's name. I won't put it out there. But it was, hey, so-and-so went home and I know you're probably feeling kind of down and I know we don't live together, but I'm here for you. I support you. Keep your head up. You're going to see parole soon. I mean, it was that.
So it wasn't dangerous contraband?
No. I mean, no. Mm-mm.
I can't think of one thing that was ever found in a group strip search that was dangerous. Ever. That's 20 years. I can't even imagine how many times I've been stripped in 20 years. And I've
Oh,
never seen anything deadly.
Emily testified, and she put a number to how many strip searches she went through in during a 6-month program classes. It was 480 in 6 months because she stripped 4 times a day, 5 days a week, the programming days, because she had to strip before school, leaving for lunch, coming back from lunch, and then leaving for the day.
Yeah.
480 times in 6 months.
I'm telling you, when people ask me what was the worst experience in prison, yes, being away from my family, like the core things, being away from my family. But in terms of the things that happened there, what was the worst? TYC youth facility was assaults from staff, that too. But the practice of strip searches, we absolutely hated it. Hated it.
And look, some staff was just like, up, down, like shake it out, shake your clothes out. Okay, get dressed and go. And some even was the whole thing very thorough, but very matter of fact, very professional, like just giving the directive neutrally. But then there were them ones that were making faces at you, at your body, even non-verbals.
Yeah.
Commenting on what you smell like after working outside for hours in the sun. Holding your panties, especially if maybe you soiled them because you're working at a job that you can't easily change your feminine hygiene.
Yeah.
And holding them up.
Yeah.
So now the whole group has seen, like, this is just the common thing.
Yeah.
And not changing your gloves in between each person.
God bless. Yeah, you're right.
So we're hot, we're sweaty. Not only is it just regular clothes, just us, like if we had to strip right now, okay, well, that's kind of gross. You didn't change your gloves, but it's really gross when our bodily fluids are obviously on the clothes. Yeah. They're wet with our sweat and whatever else has happened during the workday. And the laws to check clothes, this is how they do. They squeeze all of it. They hold all of it with this pair of gloves. And then they take the next person's clothes, the next person's panties and dirty socks.
Gosh.
And yeah.
I'm just thinking,
just like, on and on.
As you're
never changing gloves.
But I can just see them and then just throwing it.
Yeah, like, and throwing it right on the ground.
It was the most hated experience of my incarceration, just the day-to-day operations, other than like I said, the things about being away from your family. It was that practice. And I'm going to tell you something. We had a former deputy director that worked at the prison agency that told our bill authors, this is, if not the most harmful practice we do for incarcerated women, is strip searches, because it strips away their dignity. And there is no data that shows that it's effective. And what she's pointing at the camera, y'all, because I'm looking at her in the screen again. Because there's no effective data. And I don't even think nationally there's any effective data to show that strip searches just in general, I think for everybody, but especially women, it's not significant. Just like the mailroom stuff, physical mail is not a significant source of contraband. Does it happen? Yes, it is not the significant source. And they know it's from the staff.
And you brought up that probably strip searches are harmful to men. I would dare say not as harmful, but I will say, when I first get to prison, I'm at Plain State Jail near Houston. It's in Dayton, Texas. There's a jail, a men's prison. It's not Hughes. Starts with an H, Hightower, right there. They're like back to back, but huge fields in between where field squad would work. When the guys would finish working, they stripped right there outside.
They do.
And we were there on the yard, like just right out, women, men. I don't think women strip search the men anymore, but when I started my time, they still did.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they strip them in anymore, but yes, they absolutely do strip them in outside with no privacy fence. And a privacy fence is like this mesh that they put around that kind of obscures some of the view. And I remember getting stripped at the back gate at Hobby in a group with, even though there was a male guard in the tower and the bus that were literally watching. I remember we got strip searched at Mountain View. We were on the day room because Torsha broke in to the pill window. Took a bunch of stuff. So they came to our dorm to search. Okay. Of course, didn't find anything. But we were all stripping one by one in the day room bathroom. Thank God we weren't stripping out in the day room, because all the windows, they had taken all the curtains a long time ago so you can see into the dorm. So, we're going to have them strip in this little bitty utility sink closet thing. And there was a male staff, and I liked him. He was always nice to us, kind of playful and just laid and kind of goofy. But when he became a sergeant, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Started getting a little bit more whatever.
Get them bars on there.
So he was like a little bit more. But he kept coming in. And at first, one of the girls was like, if he don't stop coming in here and fucking looking. And I was like, surely not. And then the next time he came in there, I watched his face. And he was like the way a man does that to women. And everybody started screaming, say, look out. Oh, hell no, hell. And he was like, hey, everybody be quiet. And they're like, no, you keep coming in here and look at. He walked in. I mean, it was just ass booty naked right there. And he just come in and like, check it out. And it's like, it does happen. It does.
Within his right to do that, because there's nothing that says that he can't.
Well, and the female officer that is stripping says nothing to him. I had, this was years ago, Marci, but no, I was getting like at the youth facility. It wasn't strip searching. It was in the back where we took showers. Mm-hmm. And there was a male staff member that would come back there and literally stand against the wall and watch us shower. And finally, one of the girls that was a little bit older than me was like, what are you doing? Get out of here. And he says, no, I'm allowed to do this as long as it's as long as I'm looking professionally. We all know that you're not. And I have heard male officers say similar things when it's called into question that, like, you're coming in an area where folks are getting strip searched. Even if I see something, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm a professional. Stay out of here. Why are you even in the area?
We had that shower area in F dorm on the Dr. Lane Murray unit, 2 stories, open showers, 5 shower heads. Yep. The men would come and stand at the top of the stairs. Their whole shift, girl. Spend their whole shift up there.
Yeah. We have a catwalk at Riverside in the barn. I think I told y'all that before. I was taking a shower, and that catwalk, they could walk down and look into the showers, into the dorms. They're above the living area. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what made me look up. And I looked up, and I remember it was an older white man, had bald head. And I looked up, and he was literally squeezed in the corner of the catwalk, just above my shower, looking down. And I was like, and we just stared at each other. I didn't know what to do. What could I do? And for the agencies, for prison agency to say, hey, this is not the policy, so therefore it doesn't happen. I don't care that it's your policy. The practice is that these things happen. So how do you fix it?
All the time. They happen all the time. Not every now and then.
Yeah.
All the time. There are people that take those jobs for that reason.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you something, what I did appreciate today.
Okay.
is that when they had the agency, because they're neutral, they're a resource witness, they can't speak for or against a bill. When
the prison officials,
and one of the committee members said, the way he said it, I don't remember exactly, but saying, what can we do differently? Listening to these ladies' stories who have come up here today from all over. I don't know if he said from all over, but it was a very, go back and listen, because to me it sounded like that's happening, right? Why else would women come up here and talk about these things that is obviously still bothering them, and they still hear from their members that these things bother them? What can we do? So it was kind of like this moment of, I'm not going to call into question that this experience affected them. It obviously did. What can we do different? Is it the building? Is it the lack of staff? Is it technology? And show me that these type of procedures are netting and warranting this type of, security, this security threat. So I don't think there was a question that these things happen and that they affect us like that. I think everyone believed that.
Well, I think people believe that because I feel like there's a good possibility a representative from the prison told them that it wasn't happening. It was rumored that happened, that legislators got visits from a prison official saying group searches aren't even a thing. They don't even get searched as a group.
And then later on had to go back and say, well, yeah, they do. But it's for some serious security concerns. And you're like, well, I mean, they're harmful and they're terrible and we dreaded them. And also the silver lining for us was that if we did need to move contraband, that's the way to do it, because everybody's in this room squeezed in and there's too much stuff going on.
100%.
It's like lockdown.
People bring in stuff from Host Squad every day. Every day, to every single one of my Host Squad bosses. Just know that we were getting over on you every day. Every day. And some of those Host Squad bosses were downright hateful in the strip search. I mean, body shaming, not just making faces, but verbally saying things, talking about your weight, talking about the way that your vagina looks.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
In front of everyone. Like this is the reality. God, you don't remember because you weren't at Lane Murray, but I would bet that it had happened there, that somebody has had toilet paper stuck to them.
Yeah.
To their bohonies.
Yep.
And then what a humiliation that is for the laws to call it out in front of everyone. And it's completely
Marci,
ridiculous.
The stuff y'all are bringing in are pecans and, like you said, frogs and flowers and little trinkets that you find out on the field, or a potato or corn. If you could get something that big passed by. But it just goes back to, if strip searching was effective, then we wouldn't have contraband. And I think that's what the gentleman today was trying to get at. I said, okay, but where's the contraband come? So why is the incarcerated person, they're being strip searched for something that staff has given them?
I did love that representative for saying, I think we all know that the majority of the contraband comes from staff.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to figure out how to stop it there.
And we need to have technology that can scan, like TSA, also the staff, because there was one hearing or a meeting that we were in, and somebody was telling legislators or maybe the board about, I know officers that tell me the days they're searching, they just go around it. So show me that making Marci get ass booty naked, squatting, coughing, and all the skin it back and all shake your hair, all that stuff. Show me how much contraband you have found through that procedure and what that contraband was. For women, it is
notes, and
it's not. It's just not.
You're not, if you're going somewhere where you know you're going to get group strip search, because that's how those group strip searches take place. It's not just like, hey, randomly everybody off the street, and then they randomly catch random contraband. That's not the day that when I'm going through that kind of strip search, I'm not going to try to move a meal, food, a birthday cake to somebody. Right. Those aren't. Right. Nobody's moving anything.
Right. Because in group strip searches, it's accessing a class, accessing rec, education building, chapel, or transport. Right. So transport maybe because you're going to another unit, but that's not when you're going to do those things. Now, it would be maybe easier because there's all this chaos going on, but that's not when things get passed. Things get passed individually, quietly, hand to hand to hand, not in these big massive turnouts.
You're going to pass little stuff at those group strip searches. Yeah, nothing, not a package, that not like, we would call it a sock. Like, hey, I got a sock for you, because we used to pack a sock.
Meet me at Pill Line.
Yeah, I got a sock for you. Fall out to Pill Line, I've got a sock for you.
And sometimes you take those things to rec maybe, or chapel.
You figure it out.
But a lot of times, at least general population, you're not getting in group strip searches like that. Now, I know, didn't y'all get stripped individually before you went places when you were in cell block?
We did in our cells. But even that, we were standing in front of a cell door with a window, a mesh window, and there would be male laws. That was a big thing at host squad. The host squad bosses would be down there, and we'd be up there. And then the way that building is, the cells, you have to have your light on, so they're lit up, and then that middle part is kind of dark. So it's like you know what looking in someone's house is when their lights are on and it's nighttime.
I do it. I walk in the neighborhood and look.
Well, that's what this is. Yeah, they can just see everything. And
a lot of them do it on purpose,
Sure they do. Yeah, old dirty dogs.
Well, and what's interesting is that, like, when we talk about strip searching or how bad medical transport was for us, and it's interesting that while we were there, and even our members that are on the inside, I didn't never really think it was possible that we could actually address this, because they beat in our heads so much that this is non-negotiable. It's for security. We have to do it. That's it. That's all. There is no thinking that this could be done differently, or what is the outcome of this. It's just what we've always done. And there is that's just what it is. And I think we were so resigned to that in ways that sometimes I'm dumbfounded. Like, I can't believe we just had a hearing where we got to tell these people what strip searches do to us.
Yeah. Because
they told us for so long, it's just a part of the deal and it don't matter. And it's just kind of shocking that even for us to be where we are, to be able to address these things in front of people and think, I was even shocked to say, well, would more conservative, tough on crime people even care about this? Yes, it turns out yes. So I think that was shocking too.
I think even tough on crime people realize that if it's especially group strip searches are less secure. If it's in the name of security, make it make sense.
Yeah.
They're less secure, period. And like, I know you were saying like lockdown and you were going there. Again, stuff just this agency does just for procedural.
Yeah, just for show.
My very first lockdown, I remember telling my parents at visitation how asinine it was. I told my dad, if I had had a 22, I could have gotten it through. But my tennis shoes, where I couldn't find my property slip, are taken.
Right. Well, when they did they have y'all in lines with your property to go to the table?
No, well, yeah, they didn't have us in lines. They just had us piled.
So we would
kind
go
of in lines, yeah.
At Mountain View and at Crane, they would set up the tables,
Mhm.
2 officers to each table, and we would all form lines with our property. So what would happen then is that you start sliding your bag back to the next person, who
Don't
then
give it all
slides.
away, Toonche. People are still locked up. Don't
Honey, it doesn't matter.
But what you're saying is bags and bags and bags of stuff never got searched.
Correct. Because there's too much chaos going on, and there's too much chaos going on, and really it's for show. The officers are really, it's just to make you miserable. It's in the name of security, but
in the name of security, I watched somebody get written up at lockdown for a magazine cutout picture of Jesus. Got a case, a disciplinary. That Christian really was targeted. Yeah. That a case for a picture of. But I'm just saying, in the name of security, come on, that's not about security.
Well, I think, and this is what the problem is, right? Like when they're saying security, you're comparing apples to oranges, right? We're all fruit, some fruitier than others, but men and women, apples to oranges here. So what happens then, you put these procedures in place, you put these things in place because you've got this dangerous contraband over here, right? So you have all of that to address this, and then you don't over here, but you're still using the same measures. So then what happens is there's this culture at women's facilities then is like, well, we have to find something.
Mm-hmm.
So the extra stamps and the magazine that has a page torn out of it, it becomes, in their minds and staff's minds,
a serious offense.
A serious, you've broken the rules. And that former deputy director, she said, when I would see incident reports for things like an ibuprofen out of a pill pack, which is kind of maybe a stronger than what you would buy on commissary, and this is what's getting written up for major disciplinary? Absolutely not. Because if I'm doing my job, I'm doing an administrative review of that serious incident report. And if I'm signing off on that, no.
Right.
No.
Right.
No. This is not serious. Now, if she had 100.
I would love to see them take the staff from a men's prison, pick them up, and trade places for just one shift into just women's prison. The staff from there go to the men's prison and just operate, keep the same energy at these new facilities, and see how that goes over. Because what would happen? Women would be okay. We wouldn't be getting written up for.
Well, you remember that people would come from Hughes and they'd just be like, well, I would have some officers say they hated it because women are like, you give them a directive. Well, why? Why am I doing that? Well, just answer why. Like they're like having some gender training of the way that women's brains work. But for the most part, they would say, I'm bored. There's nothing to do. And I think that's the other part of this kind of petty contraband obsession is that, again, there's nothing happening here.
We had laws that would go when the men's facility was short, would go pick up a shift over there, or our prison would lend them, or however the heck it would work, and come back and say, y'all would be really mad to see what the men get away with. Like men have clotheslines from here to here. We cannot dry our wet towel dang near.
Yes.
Without getting penalized.
It's I don't know another term other than just this, not just policing, but over policing of women that make that. And what I've seen the effect of that is that women come home, including myself, one little thing goes wrong. And I tried to explain this in a post that was about disciplinaries in solitary, is that the data shows that people in general in prisons are over-disciplined for smaller infractions. So that anytime anything happens in my life that is just slightly the feel of I'm in trouble or I've done something wrong or incorrectly, it sends a terror, like a panic, because we lived in this environment, at least maybe some of us more than others, of if I just do everything perfectly, they will leave me alone. And I did. I lived without property. I I I did break rules, but I tried to give the appearance of perfect petty rule following down to the T, because that meant you left me alone. And I just was fearful that, if I broke this petty rule, I'm going to get a major case for what? For an empty peanut butter jar? Now I'm going to lose I was scared of my reaction, not to getting in trouble necessarily, but because I knew it was petty and that was going to make me angry.
There's a computer suggestion when it comes to disciplinary. So the agency's program for disciplinary cases give a recommendation on how to grade a case. It's the same for men and women. So one of the recommendations is if you have two prior offenses that are the same code. So for example, I have traffic and trading. I have gotten caught lending toothpaste or passing a kite. That would have been contraband, but lending something, giving something to someone, traffic and trading. And I get that third one. The computer recommends a major case. So women are getting major cases for minor contraband, traffic and trading. The men are not getting major cases for that because they're not ever getting written up the minor cases. Right. Because for them, nobody's getting written up for using even rubber bands, real rubber bands. If we get caught with a free world rubber band, we are going all the way down. God. The men,
colored pen.
Every man that I communicate with uses rubber bands, and they talk about it because they can't buy hair ties, which they should be able to buy hair ties.
So you just wrap your. Oh, and I mean, how many disciplinary cases did you see that people got wrote up for hair ties on chip bags?
Yeah,
or that's coffee. For your hair,
or coffee,
or your coffee,
or your wrist. Do y'all know how in the free world, if you have long hair, you take your scrunchie down and you put it on your wrist and you go about your day? Well, you're in the dorm cleaning up, going to and from your cubicle, take your hair down or from the shower and slip it on your wrist. Now it's contraband. Give that to me and I'm writing you up. It's not a sign.
You make a great point, Marci. Men are not getting written up for minor stuff. So, but those are all of our little things, and then they become major.
Right.
Where men are getting written up for, a tattoo gun.
Right.
Or a shank or a cell phone, which is now a charge, but it really is that, because the minor things start to add up and it becomes major. And I think looking at what are women predominantly doing? Trafficking and trading, which is a lot of times giving food to other people.
Or hygiene. How often have I hauled toothpaste and deodorant across the unit because somebody needed deodorant? The state doesn't give you deodorant. You can't, if you don't have someone on the outside giving you money for deodorant, you can only get deodorant by breaking a rule. You either have some kind of side hustle, which is all against the rules, or someone gives it to you and that's against the rules. I mean, literally, that's how it goes on. I want to, because we veered away from strip searches, but another just boy versus girl world. I remember we got a new warden one time and she said, I'm used to boy world. I'm not used to this girl world. She jumped right in there. She figured out how to be real petty and ugly. So, but we were talking maybe last year, maybe the year before, we were out to dinner with some formerly incarcerated men after a conference, and we were talking about strip searches and the body shaming and the way that they would talk to us and really just degrade you while you're completely naked standing in front of them. And do you remember those guys were like, what? And these are guys that did a lot of, these are guys that did decades. Well, one of them had done decades. Two of them had done decades. These are guys that did a lot of time at a lot of prisons. And I guess Ferguson unit gets down, like Ferguson unit is one of the rougher units, and they like take pride on, yeah, I did my time, kind of like I do, like I did my time on Murray and you were just at Mountain View. It all sucks, but it's similar to that.
Yeah.
Like they were at a rough unit, a rougher unit, and they were in shock.
Yeah. When
they said that never happened, not once.
I mean, I think if folks were really, truly like today, wanting to understand why are we using this practice, if you can show me that it is really cutting down contraband and cutting down,
if it's making the prison safer.
If you can show that it's statistically in data with your incident reports, with show me the kind of, because my fear too is, okay, well then they'll start writing women up like they always do anyway. But like, okay, well we've got 50, at Sycamore, it's a smaller unit. We have 15 cases of dangerous contraband that we found during strip searching.
What is the dangerous?
What is it?
Right, like don't samples just from magazines.
What is it?
That's another thing we hauled around. That would be contraband. Actually, we would take the sample out of the magazine. If you were cheap, you would tear it in half like me so you could have it for 2 days.
That's right.
And then you would rub, and then you would turn it inside out and stick it in your bra.
Yeah.
So your body heat would be like help make it. And sometimes you would forget and leave your cell or your cubicle with that. And then that puts you at risk. Yeah. Now that's a contraband case.
So what are women found with documented versus what men are found with documented?
Hey, I did see, how they have those little perfume vials in the department stores? I have seen some of those inside.
Yeah. We had an officer that was, Nico's was paying her. I think she had.
You put a name on it, sister. She's still
okay.
Locked up.
She's been.
There's lots of Nicos.
So her family was paying several hundreds of dollars to this TDCJ staff member who was supposed to bring in a package, okay, which included those
little perfume
samples. Y'all have to understand too, when we're talking about staff bringing in contraband. If a staff member is making barely above minimum wage and risking, to be honest, at the men's units, their lives sometimes in the heat, it's a miserable job.
They're risking their mental health no matter where they're at.
For sure. And so somebody says, my family's going to send you $500 to bring me a couple of bandanas, some perfume samples, and some Free World makeup. You could go to Walmart and get that $50.
Half the time the family has the package
ready.
Yeah. So you don't even have to do anything. Somebody from the outside, and I say family, friend, whomever, someone from the free world has the package. All you have to do is carry this into work. Easy breezy. It's not illegal. You're not supposed to carry stuff. Your job's at stake.
Yeah.
But no,
it's not
illegal, criminal
Right.
charges.
It's not drugs or weapons.
Or even tobacco. Literally, I never even saw tobacco. You know who I saw tobacco from? From my lieutenant who had it in his mouth all day, every day.
Yeah.
Who was illegally committing a felony.
With it in his mouth.
Is it a felony to bring tobacco into? I mean, there were signs up every day, spit and chaw. Nasty.
But it's like, that's what people were. But let me tell you something. That lady didn't hold up her end of the bargain. She just took that money because she was banking on Nika wasn't going to say nothing. Like, oh, well, what are you going to do? You send me this money. What, you charge me up, whatever? Oh, well, I just made free 500. Baby, she wired up on that ass and they walked that lady off the unit.
They wired her up to have a conversation?
Yes. So she was like, This hoe took $500 from my family. Yes, I asked her to bring all this stuff in, but she didn't do it. I'm mad about it. Don't write me up, but I'll let you use me to catch her. She was like, she took $500. Sure did. We were going to school that night. We were in the bus and we were watching it. I wish I could remember that lady's name. They were walking her to a car like 4 sergeants.
How they do. That's dramatic also. That's look, y'all, that's overly dramatic. And I'm not, for those of you that know
because they were mad. That's what it was.
Yeah, but get on.
And then they were out there searching her car.
Searching her car. And
now,
what would they find? Some free world makeup.
Well, but here's the deal. They didn't find nothing because she didn't get none of it. But I guess in their heads, if a family member's going, because they can't, I think too, Marci, the system can't understand that, well, it has to be more than that. That hoe got drugs. Like she got drugs or weapons, $500.
It's not.
There's no way that this lady was paid $500 to bring in $50 worth of Walmart crap.
Oh, I saw lots and lots of officers bringing in contraband and never saw them bringing in or knew of them bringing in drugs. And this is from me, someone who's lived in all custody levels, almost all the dorms, same unit for a long, long time, a maximum security unit. I never heard of that. Now, could it have happened? Yes. And they wouldn't have told me. I don't know. But I feel like I would have at least heard a rumor. I never even heard of rumor like, oh, this hoe got this brought in. Never. It was, but what I did see frequently was male staff members exploiting incarcerated women.
Yeah.
For bound chicka wow wow stuff.
Yeah.
And giving them something to hustle, a bunch of free world eyeshadow, yeah, or a bunch of whatever pens, colored pens. They would take the ink out and try to hide it in a regular
food they brought in their bags.
Cheeseburgers. There was an officer, I promise, however you want to say it, whatever he did for a cheeseburger every time he worked. People were doing it for, and whatever. So your instinct might be like, oh, she's giving it up for a cheeseburger. She's doing that for a cheeseburger. Well, she's doing it because she's in a very vulnerable situation, not around any men. She's hungry. She's hungry for attention. She's hungry for food. She's lonely. She's feeling lost. And this was at Plain State. She's newly locked up.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, Marci, now that we have seen and heard about K2 coming into the women's facility, that's what I was saying today. Like,
let's just say this. They have this new mailroom policy. We're not hearing about any K2. The new mailroom policy, they stopped paper mail coming in. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, we hadn't been hearing reports of K2. Now, no mail coming in.
And there's K2.
And now there's K2. And people aren't smuggling K2 in a paper and visitation. It doesn't work that way.
It's the staff. And in the same way you're describing how we saw desperate, vulnerable women doing sexual, really coerced, I call it emotional coercion, for cheeseburgers, sometimes items off a commissary.
Yes.
Like desperate for attention, desperate for validation, desperate for, they're hungry or whatever. So imagine a woman in her addiction.
Yeah.
And this is now what that thing is dangled to be able to abuse their power with. And it happens. And so when we talk about, she not hiding that on her body.
No.
And you're going to find it in a group strip search. You're not going to find it in an individual search.
No, you're not. You know when you're going to find it? When you have that drug dog at your front gate and your officers are coming in.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to find it.
That body scanner.
Will a body scanner pick up K2? It's on paper.
Yeah, that's true.
But it would pick up
things on their body.
What things on your body. Because just like we hauled stuff, not in our hoo-ha, but just in our panties, and we could get through a pat search. That's how those officers are getting stuff in the gate.
Yeah, they think just putting their shoes in the scanner and walking through a me.
Well, Lane Murray, they patted.
Oh, they patted them too.
Patted them coming in. But
so what? Especially if you're homie.
How much? I mean, I don't. Yeah, especially if it's your coworker. It's not a supervisor. It's not an outside person.
I mean, Marci,
it's your homie that you're working with that has your back every day.
I remember the staff in our education building, and they would want to bring stuff in to decorate for Christmas and stuff. And we would ask, can we get this? Can we get that? And they were like, oh, I don't know, because they search at the gate. Let me wait till tomorrow or the next day when I know who's working the front gate. And this was just like
glitter
and Christmas lights that they would put in their shirt, and it's like, I mean, it just always, the person left holding the bag is one of us.
Yeah.
100%.
We got to wrap it up too.
We'll wrap it up.
What final thoughts? You have 60 seconds.
60 seconds.
Oh, I forgot to tell y'all. Thank you for tuning in to The Recyard. Thank you for liking and sharing the live and for engaging in this. And if you're listening, wherever you hear your favorite podcasters, please leave us a review. We've got big things coming up this year.
It's going to happen, y'all. I'm telling you something. This little homegrown podcast, go back. I always say, go back to that first episode. It's a joy. It's a gem. And then one day we're going to be on a professional podcast studio. We're going to have sponsors, and we're going to have, it's going to be,
and y'all are going to be like, I knew them when they were chatting with me on Facebook.
Toonche's in the corner with Sharon Stone.
Yes. Okay. We love y'all.
Yes.
Group strip searches are bad. What was your takeaway? And ineffective.
Hey, and if you are listening to this and you think that's apparent and terrible practice, contact your legislators and your state representatives. Go to board meetings for your prison agency and tell them, I want to know why and how y'all are strip searching women and what we can do better to not strip women's dignity.
Bam.
Thank y'all for hanging out with us on The Recyard Women's Prison Podcast with Marci Marie